Ghost of Tsushima is one of the best samurai games ever made. But what makes this game a masterpiece? Ghost of Tsushima is an action-adventure video game based on real historical events of Mongol invasion of Japan. This game offers simple yet philosophically conflicting story and amazing combat system with elements of stealth and a world full of breathtaking views and environment, being one of the most beautiful game I have ever played. Today I am going to cover every element which makes this game a work of art. The story of Ghost of Tsushima takes place during the first Mongol invasion of Japan, roughly in 1200s, where we start as a character of samurai named Jin Sakai, who is trying to defend his homeland from the Mongols against impossible odds. The lore in Ghost of Tsushima is not overly complicated, rather than it focuses on emotional conflict and complex philosophical scenarios like whether you prioritize your code of honor or your people's survival. The game focuses on themes of honor, tradition, and the evolving nature of warfare, embodied through Jin Sakai's inner conflict as he shifts from the samurai code to the stealthy and unconventional tactics of Ghost.
Tradition, courage, honor. They are what make us. We are the warriors of Tsushima.
The thing I love about video games is that the stories like Ghost of Tsushima can truly be felt and understood only by those who actually play the game and live the story of the main character from his point of view. The bonds we form with the character and even with our plots seems real, like they're actually part of our life, which consequently deeply affect the storytelling of the game. Also, it is one of the few games where gameplay mechanics and what we do in our gameplay is actually canon. Unlike in most of the games where during gameplay we kill insane number of people, but during cutscenes and in story the characters act like they don't even know what a gun is, and there is no reaction from side characters. But in Ghost of Tsushima, how we kill people and the things we do is actually canon to the story. Enemies starts to fear the main character as the story progresses. Actually, it is the main plot of Ghost of Tsushima, the way we transform from being a samurai bounded with code of honor to an unstoppable killing machine with no restrictions. The Ghost of Tsushima is one of those games whose story can only be told by a game. Only other game I can think of beside Ghost of Tsushima is Far Cry 3, where gameplay and what you do outside of cutscenes is actually canon. Jason Brody, the main protagonist of Far Cry 3, is depicted psychotic and canonically enjoys murdering people, which justifies the whole lot of chaos and genocide gamers usually commit in their gameplay. A good story comes with an interesting protagonist and a hate-worthy antagonist, but without any supporting characters, the story feels empty. Ghost of Tsushima had an interesting way of adding side characters in the game apart from the main storyline. The supporting characters like Lady Masako, Sensei Ishikawa, Yuna had their own storyline, which were actually interesting and did not felt like filler quests. Their storylines comes with a whole new package of new antagonists like in the quests of Sensei there was Tomoe, whose character I personally really liked. The mysterious presence she had initially and later on how the relationship develops between the characters felt really unusual and unique. Like in most of the games, we normally track the enemy, you kill them, you get the reward, and it's done. But here, it was something different. The whole time I was doing the quest of Sensei Ishikawa, I had in mind that in the end I was going to have a boss fight with Tomoe, and that will be it. But the Ghost of Tsushima had this unpredictable element where we do not fight Tomoe and the story plays out a little different than generic quests. And the way Tomoe had her own personality and the interactions we had with her felt unique. It was a bit disappointing that we did not get any typical boss fight at the end of the quest, but still I was glad Tomoe was not treated as a generic goon and had a real personality which I think even most of the AAA games lack today.
What's out there?
The mainland. No Mongols, no war. Somewhere I can start over.
Say you make it to the mainland. What then?
In Kyoto, I'll open a fancy inn. Learn to play the shamisen. Welcome the undying parade of beautiful men and women, while my servants rub them blind.
Sounds like Kyoto's in trouble.
Similarly, the quest of Lady Masako, where we figure out the killers of Adachi family and the mastermind behind the attack was really interesting. and suspenseful. And the whole quest was unique, unlike the quests of other similar video games where we just steal and kill enemies over some silly reason nonsensically. Also, when supporting characters have their own storyline and we get to spend more time with them doing activities and quests which are not repetitive apart from the main quest and define the character, which makes them feel more real and not just like a filler character who is in the story just for the sake of being there. The side quest of Ghost of Tsushima kind of reminded me of Batman Arkham Knight, where the developers really put effort in creating unique and enjoyable side quests. Now, before talking about the combat system of Ghost of Tsushima, I want to share my experience why I started playing it at the first place. The reason I started playing Ghost of Tsushima was because I was searching for a game with similar combat mechanics as Sekiro. Personally, I enjoy games with a challenging combat system with satisfying rewards. The sound of parrying and countering every blow of enemy with rhythm is really satisfying, and the death blow is like a cherry on top. For the same reason, I really enjoyed Lies of P as well. After 100% completion of Sekiro, I was looking forward for a sequel, which I do not think we are ever gonna get. But still, I wanted a similar game, at least a game with similar combat mechanics, and then I found Ghost of Tsushima. Now I know the combat system of Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro is nowhere near the same, but still the combat system of Ghost of Tsushima felt somewhat satisfying. And after acquiring every skill from the skill tree, it really made me feel like an unstoppable killing machine. Initially, with no additional skills and no skill mechanics, it was kind of not particularly boring, but also there was not much we could do. But as we progress and unlock new stances and skills, now it's up to the player how they're going to engage enemies. I personally really like to parry and kill enemies. It gives me a rewarding feeling. But there are a bunch of other ways for combat, like we can use a grappling hook to attack from above, or we can use a smoke and chain kill the enemies, making the combat as badass as much as our own skills allow. Also, this unique dueling system which Ghost of Tsushima introduced, I loved it. I like the games where boss fights are only between you and the boss, and there are not a bunch of minions crawling around to annoy. Also, the standoff mechanic, I personally loved it. It gives me a really badass samurai vibe, cutting through the groups of enemies like butter. These mechanics really did make Ghost of Tsushima an authentic samurai experience for me. Now, since we are talking about the visuals of Ghost of Tsushima, I must say it is one of the most visually beautiful game I have ever played. The way Ghost of Tsushima visualized the natural beauty of Japan, of which I am personally very fond of, was incredible. I could not ask for anything more. From the golden forest to the mountains and from the red flower field to the snowy tundra, everything felt mesmerizing. Ghost of Tsushima really did justice to the Japanese natural beauty. They nailed the world building part of the game and they knew it. The intro of Ghost of Tsushima in itself was a flex to every other AAA companies, raising the bar higher than ever. Also, the little details they added, like when Jin walks through the field of white flowers, the change in his walking animation where he grabs the touch of flowers as he walks through the field is really impressive. I personally really like when developers take care of these little details, which makes the game really immersive. So, till now, everything I spoke of Ghost of Tsushima was how much of a great game it was. And yes, I believe it is a marvelous game and a gem, but still we cannot say there is no scope of improvement in it. Now, guys, I know nitpicking is not a very good thing, and for a game like Ghost of Tsushima, talking negatives about it is outrageous. But there are some things which I noticed, and I will speak about it because I believe acknowledging the negatives is better than ignoring it. First negative thing I noticed in Ghost of Tsushima was the animation of the game. The animation of protagonists as well as the NPCs reminded me of old Assassin's Creed games which were released like 10 years before Ghost of Tsushima was released. It felt clunky and outdated. The game that came out during the time of Ghost of Tsushima, like Red Dead Redemption 2, nailed the animation part of the game. Like when you're walking on stairs or sliding down a mountain, we have actual separate animations for it. But Ghost of Tsushima lagged in these parts. Also, the bosses in Ghost of Tsushima, their styles and arena felt really good, but the fighting were all almost the same, and the fight with Mongol captains and leaders were repetitive. They could have made more recognizable Mongolian villains in the main storyline apart from Khotun Khan. There was not one memorable side villain in the main storyline, and I think they could have done better than that. At the end, I would say, despite of its negligible negatives, Ghost of Tsushima is still a masterpiece of a game, and it is a bundle of joy for gamers like me who wants to have an authentic vibe of a medieval warrior of Japan. Also, after completing Ghost of Tsushima, I am really excited for the Ghost of Yotai. This is it for this video. Till we meet again, stranger, may the flames guide thee.